Dear viewers, not just another episode of Enforce Tac TV, but a very special one, live from Enforce Tac 2023 here at Messe Nürnberg. Today with me is no one less than Mr. Instructor Zero himself. Sir, I am deeply humbled. Thank you for appearing on this show.
It's my big pleasure to be here, really.
How did you like the show so far?
Oh, this is my first show here in Europe after the pandemic.
Yes, sir.
So it's like reborn again, okay, back to life. I miss a lot this kind of events, meeting people, see new stuff, new devices, new technologies, new ideas, and I have a big chance to hang out with a lot of people. This is great, and this is. I make Enforce Tac since the beginning, so I saw the big growth that he made it, and it become this year. It
actually has become the biggest it has ever been, and it is actually also the 10th anniversary of the trade show.
I remember when it was up floor and at the beginning
it used to be only one hall, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And now look at what it has. So it's great. This means that you're working good, and the format of the event, it works.
I was already talking to you before we started recording this video. The way I got here was I got a phone call and someone said to me, Instructor Zero is at the booth. I was like, who's at the booth? Mr. Instructor Zero himself. So I went over, I saw you, it's the first time I'm meeting you. Of course I'm a big fan. Usually I start the videos off with, well, for those people who do not know your brand, let's skip this. What is Instructor Zero all about these days? What are you up to?
I still more or less in the same direction. I mean, we are working a lot on training. We are close now to open the third institute in the world that is based on the goal is to create a kind of institute where we research, we study everything related with the performance, related with the firearms,
yes.
And it's going to be dry. So not that we work in live fire always, but I think after years of tests and what I see in the field, is that we can arrive at certain levels more when we work with different kind of devices than the firearms, and then we arrive to perform with the firearms than by the firearm itself. And so, yeah,
I would like to jump into this, but before, because I think I already saw some content of that, but before, all the shows that I've seen, and I've been a true follower since the beginning of the days. I've seen you doing red line drills, I've seen you doing really athletic drills, and now I've seen you shooting without sights at all. We'll jump into this, but I want to ask you a question that has never been asked before, at least nothing that I could see. When did you start content creating? What was the idea of Mr. Instructor Zero being born? Because you're one of the starters of the industry.
So I received a similar question regarding the origin bias. What's the name Instructor Zero nickname? Yeah, I have my name is Jacopo Bicelli. I don't have any issues on this. So everything started more than 1 decade ago when a Canadian company that was working on the internet, it was a company that was content creators basically. Yes. They saw one of my videos that was sent by one of my students. That time I was teaching inside university because I taught for more than 10 years inside a university.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that's why we took it before. And so they called me and say, hey, listen, we saw a video about you. Are you interested to develop some contents related with firearms on the internet? At that time, I didn't know nothing about social media. It was completely a world that was completely far from mine and internet as well. And I said, okay, but do you think that I could do something interesting? Yeah, absolutely. And so we started the project with two goals. The first goal was to provide information and contents related with the firearms and related with training. The second goal was to give a light to many brothers and sisters that they are around the world that they put their life in risk every day for a few dollars with very tough conditions, because now in our Western world, maybe we think that everything is super cool, super tactical, but there are tons of people around the world that they don't have the sources, we don't have the assets that we have, they don't have the money, the budget that we have, and they do their job every day anyway.
In an area that might be more
Exactly.
dangerous,
and
right?
they never under the light. So the idea was also to provide, and I think in this more than 10 years, we did a lot with a lot of units. I worked with all around the world with different kind of units, from Middle East to Southeast Asia, South America, East Europe, Balkans, United States, Africa. And I
all
think
around the world,
all
really
around the world, yeah, and I still doing. So I'm Italian because I was born in Italy, but I grew up in Africa. So I spent the first part of my life, the first third of my life was in Africa. And when I grew up, was a kind of Africa that was pretty hot, because we were like in the middle of the 70s. So
Tough time, maybe, right?
I was there in Rhodesia when all the revolution, the trouble started in 1979. Then I had two coups in Ghana in 1979, the same year, in 1981 with Rawlings. So pretty hot environment. My childhood was amazing. I started with a lot of sounds like that, and I said, this is what I want to do in my life. Then when I finished in Africa, I came back. We went back to Italy to complete my studies, and I did my military service there. I went to the Airborne Brigade, following my dream, following what was my life, because I thought at that time that was my plan A, was that.
That was plan A?
Yeah, that was plan A, but destiny has many times had different plans. So I break my knee. I had a deep injury on my knee during my service. So I decided to quit, because the future there was more on the office than on the field. I say,
acceptable, right?
No, that's my. So I said, I have to create anyway my plan B, and that time was hard to find. I went back to Africa, tried to work in a private security, but I understood that I was doing the wrong thing, because I was try to enter in another field from really the service, the last door, instead of entering the main entrance. But the problem was how I can get the knowledge, how I can get the information, because I have to figure out this first. And I said, okay, the only way I have is to study. If I can get it from the military, from my government, I can do it by myself. And I start to study, take my first degree in science of investigation and security and science of formation, and then I never stopped to study. And I'm a student. I'm a professional student.
On Instagram, right?
Yeah, I mean. But because everyone, it's not about only this industry. This industry is not an exception than other industries or other field of application. Think about the doctors, they never stop to study. You study until the last day you work as a doctor. Here is the same.
Because they feel it's a responsibility to improve, right?
Exactly. Because you have to update, to refresh, to research. It's depend. The day that you stop to be a student, a professional student, is the day that you should stop also to be a trainer. And this is one of the common mistakes that I find very often in this industry. The same process that people, they don't follow each other on social media, because an instructor, it's a shame if I follow another instructor, because maybe I don't find nothing wrong with it. I follow like 200 people on Facebook. I can learn from everybody. I don't have shame to learn from someone. I am grateful to him to say, oh, you had a great idea. That's great. And I remember the paternity of that option, or I always say, and it's not mine, it's where I learn. And I think it's one of the best things we can have, because this is what provides a general growth in this industry. And this is why we don't grow in this industry, and we are still
because we're organized and
because we are not focused. We pretend to do everything inside the shooting range, and the shooting range, if for people that they work, it depends who you are. If you are a civilian that you have just a passion for firearms, that's great. As soon as you remain inside the safety rules, follow your passion,
no problem,
and buy whatever you want. Try, maybe better to do 2 courses, in my opinion, are mandatory with firearms.
Yes.
The first course is a foundation, so of a kind of course where you can cover the fundamentals of shooting. Second course, medic. Medic course, because when you manage
absolutely
a firearm,
mandatory.
Yeah, that's a two course that anyone that use a firearm for passion, for just for have a pleasure or for have some fun on the range. Two courses. One is to don't be, yeah, exactly. One to make holes, otherwise become boring if you don't hit the target. And the second one is basic medic course related with tactical medicine, because you have to know how to apply a tourniquet, you have to know how to priorities, you have to know, because many times the shooting ranges are located in places that are quite far from
not accessible.
And many times you are alone. Many times the phone can't work, or you are not covered. So you have to cover a range of time that is mandatory. You have to know. It's not enough to buy the tourniquet. You have to know how to apply. Do it. I teach this. I taught this to my kids, because maybe if we are in the mountains or we are outdoor, something can happen to me, and they need to be able to move by themselves. So this is the two advice in terms of training. So this is.
So what you're saying is that you're recommending two classes at least: one to make proper holds with technique, and then one to treat, and one then to treat the holds.
Yeah, exactly. In the emergencies. One is to learn the fundamentals of shooting. You know what? People are so scared about basic, the word basic. It's something that if I invite someone to the basic course, sometimes it's like you offend him, right?
This is not high-level shooting.
Basic? Why? I bought the gun 6 days ago. I'm not anymore basic. This is the mindset we have. Right, so I'm alive for basic. I don't have time to train. People think that I sleep between target 6 and target 8. No, I train, now are 7 months.
At a time.
Are 7 months that I don't train myself for real. I just shoot to show people in training, to show the drill, to demo the drill, but I'm not trained myself. And I have to choose many times between family, to train my body because I'm start to be vintage, so I'm not anymore young, so I have to train every day, and so I keep the shooting the last, because I base everything on the foundations. I have a solid fundamentals, and this is what saved me every time. And if I have to train, first thing I'm going back to the foundation, back to the fundamentals.
Maybe the fastest man on the internet that's telling me, well, you have to keep at the basics.
Yeah, that's no trick. I mean, I always say no secret. Tell you a secret, no secret. Back to the foundation. And so to complete the sentence, because we went out, sorry, that's my fault. Regarding why Instructor Zero, it's even for me, it's something strange to be called a Instructor Zero. I hate this name.
Why would that be?
Yeah. Man, after years, I work with my business card as everybody here. At that time, I didn't know, what was to be in social media with my job and all this stuff. So I said, listen, I don't want to go out with a real name, a real surname. 12 years, 13 years ago, social media were different than now.
It is true.
And very few people were there.
Yes.
Understand? So was something that I didn't, because it was a completely new word for me. I said, let's go out with a nickname. So when we were to decide a nickname, Zero was my nickname on the job for a while. So the guys there, they said, so you are an instructor, they call you Zero, even your family, so go for Instructor Zero. So at that moment, say, okay,
seemed like a good idea.
Yeah, but you don't have an idea how many problems we get with scammers, even using Instructor Zero. We had, during these years, we saw everything. We faced tons of problems with scammers, with people that they try to clones and profiles, and after so far I said, good in terms of all the issues we had, very good decision at that time. For me personally, to be called like, oh, Instructor Zero, is something that is, it's more like a joke than the real name. Understand? But it's too late to change.
I think this is the first time that I've actually heard the origin story of.
Yeah, that's is the story. So that's why I am here. But again, I'm not a secret agent or something like that. I'm a simple guy.
Before I let you off the show, because we've been talking already for quite a while, I wanted to hit you off, or ask you rather, what is the cooperation between you and Pentagon? Because usually you are the ambassador over at Pentagon. What are you guys doing together?
I'm a brand ambassador for them, and I'm in charge also for R&D. Basically, what we are doing is we are trying to figure out how we can combine the experience in terms of productions and materials and all the stuff to the needs of the experience of the needs and the application in different kind of environment that I have in my job and I still have, and where I can test their products for real, not only on the range, but on the jungle when it's jungle, on the desert, on the savannah. So the idea is to try to provide the best ratio between price, quality, and performance. And this is the line we have. The idea that we have for the next year is we will sell you what you need, not what you want. Because
it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, but it's our duty to drive people. If we are honest, and if we want, if the interest is for real to do something for the industry, to provide a good service, doesn't mean that you have to work for free. It means that you have to be good with your conscience, okay?
Yes, sir.
With yourself. So many times. This happens also in training. We sell people what they want instead to sell what they need. And this, when I see people train in vehicle tactics and team, civilians, I say, listen, someone of you have ever read a statistic? What happened? Never happened something like that. Who is the guy that is going to try to hijack 4 guys with an MVG and helmet and full gear inside the car? Never happened. So we need to be real in this. We have to work on educational program from people. We have to provide solid information to them. We have to face what are the daily needs that a subject from law enforcement, from civilian, from military has. Because different subjects, different needs, different goals. So we have to provide different solutions, different devices, different items for each one. So it's not because it's a military stuff that works for a civilian. The daily life for a civilian is different needs. But it's like a knife. 99.9% of the use of the knife is to cut stuff. It's not to protect, defend. Statistic, man. There are statistics. There are data regarding that. So people that work with a big machete on the back, then you have to face with the law, for example.
Yes, exactly.
Because you have to know where is the country, where you're going. If you are allowed to carry a knife or not, because in some country it's enough to bring you in jail. Understand? So be sure to be smart, to be real. Work, I always say, whatever. I don't care who is going to provide me. I can have the greatest idea from a kid of 10 years old. But what is important is logic. Whatever you teach me has to pass the filter of simple logic and common sense. If it doesn't make sense, for logic,
no matter how cool it looks,
I don't care who you are or which is your background. I never asked a background in my life to anyone. And now I think it's one of the dumbest things you can ask me. Hey, what's your background? What do you expect?
It's a common question in the industry.
Here is because why? You need to demonstrate something. Why? Because you're not sure about yourself.
Yeah,
so you have to shield behind the background. I was 25 years in Special Force. Yeah, what means this? Training is another chapter. Training is an art. Doesn't mean that you could be the best operator, but very crap teacher, or very crap instructor, or bad instructors. It's not related, are two different fields. If you don't know how to teach,
yes, sir,
it doesn't mean that maybe you did the best operation in the world, but this doesn't make you a good trainer.
I agree.
Understand? And this happened not only here, happened in the soccer, happened in football. You can have a mediocre player that become very good trainer, very good coach. And you can have a world champion that is a very crap coach or very bad coach. Same process for boxer or whatever. So we have to be real on this. And we have to stop. If I wrote a quote, if you have to validate something that you teach by your background, this means that logic, common sense, and results have been defeated by your lack of knowledge. Understand?
Mr. Instructor Zero, putting the wisdom out there in the industry, focusing on basic and logic first, and on fame second. It has been an honor having you on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
For all you guys, thank you for watching the true finale of Enforce Tac TV Season 2, here live from Enforce Tac 2023 with Mr. Instructor Zero himself. Thank you for watching.